Welcome. You've made it to a quiet place, a place where the past hums faintly in the background, like the low rustle of wind over stone. Tonight, as your mind settles and your eyes grow heavy, we will walk slowly, softly, into a distant, forgotten chapter of human history. Let the world outside slip away. You don't need to think or do or remember anything. Just listen, breathe slowly, and let the rhythm of ancient lives guide you. This story isn't about kings or battles. Not yet. It's about what people ate, how they woke, what they touched. It's about the heavy wooden doors they pushed open each morning. The creak of carts, the smell of ash and grain, the sound of sandals brushing against stone. Let's begin in a time when empires still whispered their ambitions into the wind. A time when every breath was slower, and every day was built on habits we've long forgotten. Imagine yourself there now. Imagine yourself waking before the sun, your bed nothing more than a mat laid across packed earth. The thatched roof above your head leaks slightly when it rains, and the air inside your small hut is heavy with the scent of mildew, wood smoke, and the faint must of stored grain. You are a rice paddy worker under the rule of Emperor Wu of Han, one of the most ambitious emperors in Chinese history. His court is hundreds of miles away, nestled within grand palaces and scroll-lined chambers. But his presence is here, too, in your taxes, in your conscription notices, in the weight of each task you must complete. Your day begins with the call of roosters and the sound of wooden tools being dragged through muddy soil. The fields await. They are wide, flat, and often flooded, intentionally so. The earth is slick, thick with the scent of wet growth. Frogs chirp lazily at your feet. Your job, day after day, is to bend at the waist and plant. One stalk at a time. Plant, step, plant again. There is no shade here. The summer sun grows steadily stronger, warming the back of your neck until the skin peels. There are no holidays in the fields. During the critical planting and harvest seasons, your family works from sunrise to near darkness, with only short pauses for watery porridge or boiled cabbage. And always the looming worry of flood or drought. Both are deadly. A single, untimely rainstorm can wipe away weeks of effort. A dry wind can stunt the crop. Either way, your village's tax quota, paid not in coins, but in rice, remains unchanged. And if your village cannot meet that quota, punishments are rarely shouted. They are quiet, procedural. A record is made. A debt is entered. Perhaps your tools are confiscated. Perhaps your eldest son is taken for labor. Perhaps you are sent away yourself, conscripted to work on a government canal or border fort. Long walks, harsh winters, few return. Taxes under Emperor Wu were steep, not just in grain but in time. Men like you were often pulled from the fields for weeks at a time to serve in state projects, building roads, fortifications, or irrigation ditches for provinces far from home. Even when you're not building for the state, you are building for survival. You patch your hut with straw and mud. You grind your own grain with heavy stones. You barter for salt or oil. You mend your clothes one loose thread at a time. The children grow thin during long winters, and you quietly worry that one fever too many might carry them off. But there are still rhythms that comfort. The slow creak of the water wheel turning in the canal. The delicate hum of insects hiding in the reeds. The whispered chants of your wife as she prays to the kitchen god, asking for peace, or at least fewer storms. Some evenings, as the sun dips low and shadows lengthen across the paddies, there is quiet laughter. Children play with hand-spun tops. You might sip a cup of warm millet wine, just enough to dull the ache in your back. The stars emerge, the sky vast and clear, and you remember stories of dragon spirits and cloud palaces, passed down by your grandfather beside the fire. But even dreams are bound by the emperor's reach. You know that messengers may come tomorrow, asking for men to defend the northern border, or to dig a trench for a new canal, or to deliver rice to distant officials. And you will go, or your son will go, because Emperor Wu dreams of conquest and expansion, and you, the rice farmer, are one of his many tools. Still, you rise the next day. You plant, you tend, you endure, for that is the rhythm of your life. Steady, repetitive, hard, but quietly heroic in its own way. The soft rustle of silk robes in a quiet study, the scent of sandalwood ink and candle wax, and the scratch of a bamboo brush as it glides across parchment. This is where we find her, Ban Zhao, a woman in a world of men, a scholar in the glittering yet rigid court of Han China. She was not born a rebel, nor did she seek to challenge the great forces that shaped her life. But through quiet diligence, precise thought, and an unwavering commitment to knowledge, she became something exceedingly rare, a woman entrusted with history. Imagine yourself in the great court of the Eastern Han. It is the year 80 CE, and Emperor he sits on the throne. The court is a place of whispering ministers, long corridors filled with murmured judgments, and imperial scholars copying records that will shape how dynasties are remembered. Among these scholars walks Ban Zhao, small in stature, but tall in thought. She came from a family of historians. Her father, Ban Zhao, began compiling a grand history of the Han Dynasty. After his death, her brother Ban Gu continued the project. But when he was imprisoned and later died, whether by political enemies or other means remains uncertain, Ban Zhao was quietly summoned to complete what he had left behind. And so she did. In the privacy of her quarters, away from the pomp of the court, she worked, scroll after scroll, battle dates, lineages, state ceremonies. She recorded them all with careful, deliberate hands. She ensured continuity. She ensured balance. But she did more than preserve history, she shaped thought. Ban Zhao is also known for writing the Lessons for Women, a guide for female behavior in Han society. It is a text often criticized for its reinforcement of female obedience, urging women to be quiet, humble, and devoted to their husbands. Yet, there is more to it. Read slowly, thoughtfully, and you may notice something subtle. Beneath its surface, it is also a survival guide, an acknowledgement of a world where women held little formal power, and a gentle blueprint for how to navigate it with intelligence, self-control, and quiet strength. She wrote not to defy the system, but to help women live within it safely and with dignity. It is easy, from our modern distance, to ask why she didn't challenge the patriarchy more directly. But Ban Zhao lived in a time when open defiance would not only fail, it could destroy one's family. Instead, she wielded influence through ink. She tutored Empress Deng. She shaped imperial minds. And by completing the Book of Han, the official history of the Western Han Dynasty, she preserved the legacy of one of the world's greatest empires. In a world where women's voices were often drowned out by the weight of tradition and lineage, Ban Zhao's voice remained calm, measured, and heard. She did not shout. She wrote, and through writing she endured. Now let us descend beneath the surface of the earth, into long-forgotten chambers of clay, where thousands of silent figures stand, frozen in formation. This is the realm of the Terracotta Army, and with it, the mysteries of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. Imagine the cool, damp air beneath the soil, the faint echo of a dropped stone, swallowed by the silence of centuries. Then your torchlight catches a clay hand, a chiseled cheek, the faint curve of a bronze sword still gripped by a soldier long dead, or rather never alive. Discovered in 1974 by farmers digging a well, the Terracotta Army stunned the world. Thousands of life-sized soldiers, archers, generals, chariots, horses, all arranged as if ready to defend something or someone. That someone was Emperor Qin Shi Huang, the man who unified China through war, bureaucracy, and sheer force of will. He ruled only briefly, but dreamed eternally. His mausoleum, yet to be fully excavated, remains buried under a hill not far from the warriors. According to ancient texts, it contains entire rivers of mercury and ceilings inlaid with gemstones to mimic the night sky. And he believed, or hoped, that by replicating his empire underground, he could reign in the afterlife. But the real mystery is in the silence. Each soldier has a unique face, eyebrows etched with care, cheekbones, beards, expressions ranging from stoic to serene. Were they based on real people? Were they artists' inventions? We don't know. Then there is the question of their creation. It is believed that multiple workshops worked simultaneously to produce the warriors, each sculptor specializing in certain parts. Arms, torsos, heads, like an ancient assembly line. Once assembled, the figures were painted. Vibrant reds, greens, purples, colors that have long since faded or flaked away the moment they touched air. This paints a quieter tragedy. For as we study these marvels, we also destroy them piece by piece, simply by exposing them. There are also unanswered riddles. Why were some figures missing? Why do certain soldiers carry weapons while others don't? Why did Qin Shi Huang fear death so deeply, and yet design his tomb in a way that speaks of empire rather than peace? No one truly knows. The tomb itself remains sealed, out of both respect and fear. Mercury readings in the soil remain dangerously high. Legends say booby traps were set. Some believe we shouldn't open it at all, that the emperor's peace or curse should remain undisturbed. And so the Terracotta Army stands, waiting, not for war, but for understanding. They remain a silent echo of ambition, control, and a man's longing for eternity. And now let us step away from tombs and fields. Let us enter a world of ink, quiet thought, and rigid discipline, the private study of a Confucian scholar official during the Han Dynasty. You slide open the wooden door and the scent of aged paper, polished bamboo, and slow-burning incense greets you. The room is spare but elegant. A scroll half unrolled on a lacquered desk. A brush balanced carefully on a jade holder. In the corner, a stone ink slab, gently worn by decades of calligraphy. Scholar officials were not warriors. Their battlefield was the written word, their weapon the brush. They were selected not by birth but by examination, a radical idea in ancient times. Men from humble backgrounds could, in theory, rise to great power if they could master the classics. Imagine studying for years in silence, memorizing the Analects of Confucius, interpreting ancient poems, understanding the subtle rhythm of ritual conduct and ethical hierarchies. Failure was common. Success brought stability and respect. These officials governed provinces, advised emperors, managed civil records, and judged disputes. Their lives were not lavish, but their minds were sharp. A scholar's daily rhythm was gentle but unrelenting. Rise with the sun, offer prayers, read aloud to strengthen memory, copy scrolls by hand, drink tea brewed from delicate leaves, and maintain correspondence with other scholars through beautifully crafted letters. Evenings might be spent in quiet debate with peers or reading under the faint glow of an oil lamp. Their world was one of restraint. Emotions were not to be indulged. Humility was prized. To lose one's temper was a failure of virtue. And yet, they held immense influence. Through the written word, they shaped laws. Through commentary, they shaped thought. And through interpretation of the past, they shaped the future. While peasants bowed to the earth and soldiers bent to the emperor's will, The scholar bent over his desk and quietly bent the arc of empire. This was not a life of ease, but it was a life of meaning, purpose, and structure. One could say the rhythm of their lives was a form of prayer, a steady pursuit of order, justice, and knowledge in a world full of chaos and no. And so, our slow walk through Han China draws to a close. You have wandered the muddy paddies, knelt beside parchment in imperial courts, gazed silently at forgotten statues beneath the earth, and turned pages by lamplight in a scholar's study. These were lives filled with routine, hardship, purpose, thought. Their rhythm was often slow and always constant. They woke early, worked hard, endured much, and in their quiet ways they shaped a civilization. Perhaps now, as you lay in stillness, the past feels a little closer. Perhaps the murmur of a distant stream or the flicker of firelight across the wall reminds you that we are all echoes of those who came before. Sleep, if you haven't already, knowing that even in ancient chaos, there were moments of calm, and even in hardship, there was rhythm. Good night.